Welcome back, everybody, to Passage to Profit. So far, we've heard we've certainly carried our water on this show, and
Now, if
learned.
you missed what Chris said, boy, you got to listen to that on the podcast
That's
or on YouTube.
riveting. Yeah,
Yeah, we could have talked to him for hours about these stories. Anyway,
right. And it just health is so important, and you
yeah,
take water for granted, but there could be some nasty stuff in
he
there.
has the
So
testing kits. He has the stories to back up why you need them. I mean,
I think it's absolutely fantastic
you
that
can't
he
get your
came on the
health
show.
back
No,
sometimes.
you cannot. So,
Yeah.
but we have an equally compelling guest coming up next, our very own Pavita Howe, who we've just known forever and ever. And she's been a super important part of the New Jersey ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem. And right now, she is the director of entrepreneurship partnerships at Rutgers University, where she manages external entrepreneurs and their relationship with Rutgers. Welcome to the show, Pavita.
Thanks so much, Richard and Elizabeth. It's great to see you, and thank you for having me on the show.
So tell us a little bit about what you do right now for Rutgers and how you help entrepreneurs.
Sure. So I'm involved in entrepreneurship partnerships, and we've created a new initiative in the Corporate Engagement Center at Rutgers that was created to help bring visibility to Rutgers entrepreneurs, make connections into the university community, and help Rutgers entrepreneurs to build and grow their businesses. So as you all know, Rutgers is a really big place. You might not know that there are pockets of entrepreneurship happening across the community. There are over 500,000 living alumni for the university, and many of those are entrepreneurial. And there's over $700 million in research budgets, which is more than all the other New Jersey universities combined. So there's a lot of innovation happening from faculty, students, and alumni. And so this initiative was created to try and bring those together. A lot of other universities have entrepreneurship centers, and they are promoting a lot of the innovation and entrepreneurship that's happening. Because Rutgers is very large and also very old, those activities exist all over. And so this was an effort to try and pull some of that together. It can be challenging for external people to navigate. So we created a place for people to go if they want to connect with entrepreneurial activity at Rutgers and find those opportunities and resources and connections that might be able to help them or to help grow the Rutgers entrepreneurial community.
That's excellent. So, how many people do you think are doing entrepreneurship types of things at Rutgers right now?
Oh, it's hard to say. We have so many different centers and of technology, of innovation, and our alumni and students. So people working in many different areas. Rutgers is well known for biomedical and health sciences. There's a lot of technology and engineering happening. We have people in food science, well known for agricultural science, cancer research. So there are many different places where there are exciting things happening.
So if there's an entrepreneur out there who's listening to us in Washington State and they have a university close to them and they want to get information about the types of programs that their university is offering, what kinds of things would you recommend that they do?
So some universities do have an entrepreneurship center or a program that they can connect to. It's usually possible to connect to people in research if that can help your company, get involved with recruiting for talent, having students work on projects. Some universities have funds affiliated with the university that they can apply to, an accelerator and incubator programs. And of course, just the network, the alumni network can be very valuable as well as the university network internally.
So I guess it's interesting to think that the alumni network could be of a strong resource for entrepreneurs. And it's interesting. I don't normally suggest that when entrepreneurs come to me looking for support. And I think I'll do that. Well, first of all, I'll send them to you. But I'll also mention too that, based on where they went to school, they may be able to harvest some of those relationships for support. So
Right. It's amazing to me how many very successful people there are in this area who went to one of the universities in New Jersey, Rutgers especially too. And I know Pavita, before you took this spot, you helped with the saliva test for COVID. You helped distribute that, right? You were on a team.
So yes, I did end up helping with that effort because we were in a corporate engagement center when COVID first hit, everything shut down. Everybody was scrambling, right, to see what they could do to help. And it turned out that we had the RUCDR at Rutgers was the lab that developed the COVID-19 saliva test, the first one to get emergency use authorization from the FDA. And once that was announced, they were bombarded with inquiries from all kinds of places, states, companies, other institutions that wanted to implement testing on their sites. So as Rutgers was setting up testing for not only for the Rutgers community, but also for other communities within New Jersey, they were getting inquiries from all over the place. So they came to the Corporate Engagement Center, because we do interact with external partners, and asked if we could help out with fielding all these inquiries and help people to figure out how to set up testing in their lab. So I do have a science background before I went to business school, but I was not expecting that I would be working in the RUCDR lab and documenting the entire process of the lab and the testing that they run in order to get results that they can then report to the state and to the health departments and so on. So we put together a knowledge transfer package, and we interacted with several universities in New Jersey and across the country. We talked to some of the Fortune 500 companies. We talked to chief medical officers and state health departments, including one that turned out the Surgeon General of the state was a Rutgers alum.
It's an alumni network again.
Yes, exactly. So it was a great source of pride, obviously, for Rutgers to have been able to help that way and to implement testing so quickly. And it was also very rewarding to be able to work with them, just to be able to help out at a time when everybody was just scrambling and trying to figure out, how do we bring people back to school and to work? How do we keep people safe? And how to just roll out the testing as well.
Right. So that strong entrepreneurial, innovative, scientific base that Rutgers had positioned them perfectly to be able to come through in a crisis. And to work day and night, because I think your labs are going 24/7, right, on this.
Yes.
To get this done. And so it is a natural place for an entrepreneurship community hub, I think Rutgers is, because they are really strongly situated for innovation.
Yes. And we have students, faculty, and alumni who are all, different types of entrepreneurship, different types of technologies and ideas. And there are resources available for all of them in different ways. We have for those types of technologies, which are developed often in Rutgers labs, there are internal programs like Tech Advance, which I was very involved with before I took this role, and Health Advance, which are both gap funding programs intended to help commercialize Rutgers technologies and get them closer to the point where a company or investor is willing to step in and help them, as well as a program called iCore, which is actually open to alumni as well as students and faculty. And it focuses a lot on customer discovery and just understanding what strategies are involved in commercializing their technologies. And then, of course, our business school, we have a food innovation center, an eco complex that focuses on clean tech and environmental technologies, and several other programs, of course, across the business school and other places to help support these entrepreneurs.
It sounds like a lot of activity. I do follow you on social media, and a while back, I remember seeing you in India with some New Jersey luminaries. What was that all about?
So yes, I guess that was about a year and a half ago. Governor Murphy, the governor of New Jersey, had a delegation that went to India for business partnerships. So they were interacting with schools or colleges companies and organizations to help build partnerships and really to attract businesses to come to New Jersey and have locations here. So a number of the New Jersey universities participated in that trip, as did some other very interesting and well-known people. And so, yeah, it was very exciting. We went, I was selected to go as the Rutgers representative, mostly because someone else probably couldn't go. But it was an amazing trip. It was an amazing trip. It was 1 week. We went to 8 cities in 7 days. I lost track of how many flights we took from city to city. We had long days with back-to-back meetings, and sometimes we'd be traveling 2 hours on a bus to get to a half-hour meeting and then get back on the bus and go again.
Oh, business travel.
It was, and it's such a different culture and environment. And even though I have ties there, it was still just a completely different experience. So there was a lot of culture, but also, visits to some of the big universities there. Interactions happening with Princeton, NJIT, Rowan, Rutgers. We all had representatives there, and we all bonded too, because it was an experience that we probably never have otherwise.
That's great. And one of the things that we hear being located in New Jersey sometimes about the ecosystem is fragmented, but I think things like this can help bring the institutions together. So that sounds very positive. Why India?
Well, they've actually had trips to other places. I know there's been a big initiative with Israel as well, but I think they look at what is similar or what makes sense for the culture in New Jersey. And in India, actually, the governor had a strong message about the economy, the culture, the community, the proximity to places like New York and Philadelphia and being in the Northeast corridor. I think by the end of the trip, we could have all repeated his speech because we heard it many times. But it was true, and one of the things they talked about was comfort, because there is a large Indian culture in New Jersey as well, and a very dense population, and so you're close to many companies and people too that make a community that is more comfortable for people, I think.